Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to the Dice Tower. Today I'm talking about 5 great games from 1997. And this is part of just kind of a push here to Dice Tower as we to not just talk about the coolest new toys and games that are coming out these days, but also to go back in time and take a look at some stuff from yesteryear. Maybe you missed some of these games. Well, here are 5 ones that are worth your while to go back and check out. So in no particular order, we're going to start with Tigris and Euphrates, which sometimes is reversed, and it's Euphrates and Tigris in Germany, I believe. This game, which was a mega smash for a while, especially on a critical level for sure, on Board Game Geek, a website that ranks board games, it was number 2 for the longest time. It since has faded away, and you don't hear it talked about as much these days, but this game from one of the greatest designers in the world, Rainer Knizia, is a tile-laying game in which you're placing tiles on the board on a map with the Tigris and Euphrates rivers and trying to build little kingdoms and have your leaders in kingdoms, which will give you cubes of 4 different colors. At the end of the game, you will score points equal to whatever color cube you have the least of. So you need to spread out, but you're also fighting over kingdoms. There is internal and external conflicts. They've changed the naming of that as time has gone by, but it's a very vicious game in many ways. It's very interactive, back and forth, and it's very unlike many of the other Euro-style games that came out both during that time and even today. It is a masterpiece. You may or may not like it. People are all over the place, and I have fluctuated between liking and not liking it over the years, but there's no question that it is an excellent design. That's Tigris and Euphrates. We also have For Sale. For Sale, a game that I think pretty much everybody should be checking out, is a simple little card game that has 2 halves to it. In the first half, you are bidding on properties. It's a simple auction game, and you'll put out properties in the middle of the table that are going to be numbered from 1 to 30. 1 is the worst property, a cardboard box. 30 is a room on the space station, and everything in between. You'll put out cards equal to the number of players. Players will bid. Whenever you feel like the bid's too high, you drop out, pay half the money you bid, take the lowest card in the middle of the table, and the last person to take a card has to pay all of their bid. Once all the cards from 1 to 30 are handed out to players, they will then simultaneously pick a card from hand to play it to get checks that range from 0 to 15,000. Whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins. Very simple, very fun. Play 6 players is one of my most taught games in my life. It's just a great game. Formula Day came out in 1997 and was, for a while, and maybe still is, one of the most popular board game racing games in the world. To the point where you can buy not just this game, but there is almost 30 or more maps that have come out for this. In this game, which really caught people's attention, including myself, because you have these little cars and you're rolling dice to race them around the track, but whatever gear you're in, you're rolling a different sided die. You start with a 4-sided die, which isn't going to move you very far, but you move up to a 30-sided die, and that 30-sided die isn't 1 through 30. It's more akin to something like 25 through 30 on the different sides. And it just feels like, yeah, you're going fast, but you also have to stop on curves, and so you need to slow down and speed up. It's in many ways, it's very simple, but there are a lot of rules to add to the complexity to it. That plus the tracks, the fact that a whole lot of people can play it. You just add more cars to the track. It has been since reintroduced and redone as Formula D. It's essentially the same game. They streamlined a few parts of it, but this is a racing game that a lot of people have played and enjoyed. Also in 1997, we had Colossal Arena. Well, actually in 1997, it was called Titan the Arena. And this is based on an old dice chucking game called Titan, in which you move monsters around and just threw piles of dice, and is a long luck-driven game. Titan the Arena, which then called Colossal the Arena later on, Fantasy Flight changed the name, and in fact has been even redone beyond that. Nowadays, farther Plan B has put out a version of this called Equinox. But Titan the Arena was a game in which there's a bunch of monsters out on the table, 9 monsters. but they're not all going to survive to the end. And you are playing cards under each monster, but also betting on which one. In each round, one monster is eliminated. One monster is eliminated. One monster. And at the end, you get points if the ones you bet on are still alive. Very simple game. Works really well with 3 players. A lot of fun. Then we have the last game we're taking a look at today is a trick-taking game called David and Goliath. You all have heard probably the story of David and Goliath, and this game is based on that. It is a trick-taking game that actually scales really well. I love it with 3, but I also like it with 6, and that's a rare thing. Has 6 different suits. You play a card like a normal trick-taking game where I lead a card, everyone follows suit if possible. If not, they play another card. Whoever plays the highest card is going to win the trick. Doesn't matter what color it is. Whoever plays the lowest card, though, will win the highest card. Doesn't matter what color they've played. And then at the end of the game, you will get points equal to the numbers on the cards as long as you have 2 or less numbers of a color, cards of a color. So if I have the 17 and the 10 of yellow, that's 27 points for me. But if I have the 17, the 10, and the 6, that's over 2 cards. Now each one is only worth 1 point, 3 points. That's a huge difference, and it's fun trying to manipulate it so you get only 2 cards of each color. Of course, if you take more than 2 cards, then take as many as you can. A very fun game, one that I think is a classic and will still be around many years from now. So those are 5 great board games from 1997. As a bonus, my favorite video game from 1997, well, that's an easy choice for me. Final Fantasy VII came out. A game which, of course, nowadays you look at it and think, look at those pixel arms and everything. But at the time was the culmination of the Final Fantasy series and took it from, the last one before that had been Final Fantasy VI or 3 as for us in America. And this was like so amazing, so different, so interesting. And I still think it has one of the most interesting stories and fun systems of the whole series as a whole. My favorite movie from 1997 is Princess Mononoke. I'm not a huge anime fan, but this one is so interesting. It starts with a fierce battle scene. It's pretty gory, not gory, well, there's a little bit of gore, but definitely violent cartoon, and is more violent than most of the other movies from Studio Ghibli. But I still think it's fantastic, it's interesting, it's a great soundtrack, and it's a lot of fun for me to watch. That's my favorite stuff from 1997, folks. Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time.